Hello everyone, hope you're doing well and good. Today we're gonna be talking about the LDY Vixen V2, which is something that I've been looking for quite a while. It's really cool, so let's get into it. So before we even get into the case, the Vixen V2 is from LDY and it is one of two of their most expensive bellies in their current lineup. So the most expensive bellies they have are the Cygnus and the Vixen V2. And those are the grails that you can get from LDY, depending on your perspective of what a grail is. So, here it is. This is the polished DLC Vixen trainer. And here is the specs card, the screwdriver, band-aids, and a microfiber cloth. And it also comes with extra hardware. It comes with one set of screws, bushings, and washers. Not a ton, but you know, it's enough. So here we go. This is the specs card, tells you the specs, but this is for the live blade. I guess they didn't bother making one for the trainer, but not a big of a difference, it's just the steel is different. I believe this is 440C, and the live blade, like most other live blades, are S35VN. So yeah. One important thing about a Vixen, so if you want to get it, pinless. Yeah, so the Vixen is pinless. Alarm bells ringing, I know, but trust me, it's not a bad. So, let's get into the actual Vixen. If you want to see me talk about the screwdriver, check out my video on the Corvus, I'm pretty sure I said it there, but yeah. Cool case, cool stuff, very nice package. Now let's talk about the Vixen. So, the Vixen is a titanium channel trainer. Full channel, you can see, with speed channels on the side. So it is pretty heavy. Not super heavy like objectively, but it is 4.6 ounces, which is quite a bit heavier than some of my other bellies that I flip quite often. So this is my rotation. As you can see, the Vixen goes here. But my other bellies here, so I flip the Superfly and Astra pretty often, these two as well. So sorry, not so much, but Astra, one of my heavier bellies, as of late at least, but it is 4.2 ounces. So it is kind of hefty, but not nearly as hefty as the Vixen. Oh my god, the sound. Okay. So the Vixen is definitely heftier than most modern bellies, but I wouldn't say it actually feels that heavy unless you're coming straight from a light belly. So if the first belly you pick up is the Vixen, like after a long session, so once you're just starting a session, you pick up a Vixen, I don't think you can notice the weight that much unless you just always flip light stuff, like the Sasori, I guess. So, yeah, take note, pretty heavy, but not super heavy. So, because the Vixen is so heavy, that contributes to the fact that it is kinda pretty flowy. So if you're doing like a lot of like tacky stuff, right? The Vixen flows very well. So in Will's video on Will Flips, he did say the Vixen is really good for slow flippers, and I very much agree. It's not like the Vixen can't go fast, right? So you can absolutely like rip on this thing, but it is going to kinda be a little bit sluggish, kinda like the Nibali's Cannon, because it is quite a bit heavier. And it takes quite a lot of force to change directions, as you can see there. So the Vixen V2, if you're really flowy, you're into a lot of tech, it can be a really great belly for you. So flipping wise, I wouldn't say there's much more to say. It is, oh, one more thing. So since this thing is so, you know, hefty, you would assume that it's kind of handle bias, like the old traditional bellies. But no, it is like surprisingly neutral. Like, check out the fan. It is flat. It is just straight up flat. I don't know how they did it. The fan is extremely flat. It's like nearly as flat as my Superfly, which is pretty shocking considering how, you know, once again, how heavy this thing is. LDY, no idea how you did it. Great stuff. Okay, that was my fault, not the Vixen's fault. But yeah. Flipping aside, this thing just looks so cool. So I've already seen there's been a ton of, let me adjust this real quick. There's already been a ton of, not a ton, but there's been a few videos on the live blade but not a ton on the trainer. So if you've been wanting to buy a trainer, this is why I'm making a video. More resources, always good. But as you can see, the trainer blade is also a harpoon blade. It's really cool. And the fact that there's so many holes means it rings. And it rings so good. I would say it rings nearly as much as my Matco, so not as much as the Matco, but it's pretty close. Out of my 5 bellies that I showed you just now, this is probably my favorite sounding, with the Astra being a close second. Which I would hope so, because this thing is not cheap. It's 360 USD. I got it second hand for 250, but it's like dead mint, so yeah, pretty good deal. Even for 360 full price, I would say it is definitely worth it. Just make sure it's an anno that you like. Speaking on the anno, that is where one of the downfalls of the Vixen comes in. It doesn't really affect performance per se, but because the Vixen is pinless, these areas that contact the Zen nipple will be bound to have their anodization wear off. This is not just speculation, because, you know, people haven't had their Vixens for long enough yet to see that happen, but I did contact Will Zhang on Instagram, and I asked him whether the anodization will fade over time, and he said yes, which is, you know, it makes sense. Because there's so much impact going on in these areas, there's bound to be more wear than the rest of the handles, so it will lead to pretty inconsistent fading. So the anno here, I mean this is DLC, but anodizations will fade more in here than anywhere else. So you will eventually find out that there is kind of a spot here. Doesn't affect performance per se, it's just kind of annoying, I guess. I guess if you want to, you can just put tape here, but you know, happens over time. Not a big problem. And the second problem with pinless, that doesn't apply to this by the way, is a lot of people know pinless as the bad system, right? So it is the one that keeps closing the handle gaps. But the thing is, every pin system has handle gap closing. It's just they happen very slowly, and they'll probably, for most like Zen pin bellies, they'll probably still have a handle gap by the time you are gone. But with pinless, people have a really bad impression because of JK. Yes, okay. So as Blade Bias, Mr. Blade Bias Ethan said on a stream, he said it very well. If pinless was a person, he could sue JK, because JK's goddamn pinless bellies, his designs at the start, were horrendous for durability. So they look sick, right? I think JK stuff looks sick. I don't like him as a person because of a bunch of shit, but his designs look great, except for the fact that the Orca stole the alien blade, whatever. His first few pinless bellies, so for example the Monarch V1, which is a belly that Will Hirsch had, which has a pretty funny story. I encourage you to look into it. But with JK's early bellies, he tried to get rid of the nipple here, because, you know, that's the appeal of pinless. No pins, no need for nipples, right? You need them, because otherwise, once this material here or here compresses just a tiny bit, handle gap, boom, gone. Now it's fucking slapping. You can't do anything about it except for just like fucking leaving it for dead, like just making a display piece. If you're gonna flip it, if you flip it for just a bit, and like you do a bunch of aerials, anything that impacts the tang area or the like where the nipple would contact, right? If you do anything that like impacts these areas a lot, over time, like over a short time, not like over years and years, over a while, it's just gonna suddenly start slapping. And you cannot do anything about it other than sending it into JK and getting repaired for an insane price. So pinless gets a bad name because of all that shit. But as you can see here, the Vixen has a Zen nipple. So the handle gap here will not deteriorate nearly as much as the other stuff that I mentioned. That's also why the Canyon's handle gap didn't really diminish that much. It definitely did, right? But the handle gap closing has been slowing down quite a bit. I haven't noticed any closing since like 3 months after I got it. So even if this handle gap starts closing, it will slow down exponentially. So I would say no need to worry about handle gap on this. It will eventually close a bit, like all the other pin systems, but that's gonna happen either way, no matter whether you're using Zen pins, Tang pins, or Pinless. So I would say LDY is a pretty good implementation of Pinless. So don't worry too much about the Pinless fear mongering on Instagram and shit. If you like the Vixen, you like how it sounds, you like how it looks, just pick it up. I can't speak on the live blade, but I can say that the trainer blade flips really well and is pretty neutral. If you want to check out videos on the live blade, there's a bunch already existing. If you're seeing my video, you've probably already seen those, and you're just looking for one just for the trainer. So yeah, hopefully this video has been helpful in a purchase decision maybe. And yeah, that's about it. Vixen, pretty cool. You guys should get it. And next video will probably be about all my 5 regular rotation bellies. And yeah, that's about it for now. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.